Welcome to Ultra Uncovered. I'm Corinne Shalvoy, joined as always by Russell Ditsworth. And today we are back to regular scheduled programming post Leadville and all of the things there. We are doing another evergreen episode talking about a singular race that is very important in not only the ultra running landscape, but in the kind of the history of the sport. And it is one that is in our own, Colorado backyard. We also have a very special guest who we'll introduce here in just one moment to talk all things about this, similar to how we did with when we talked about JFK 50 and we brought on Ian and Emily Torrance, people that were just, total experts on the race itself. We are doing something similar today. So I'd love to introduce you to our guest host and guest interview. I'm Kristina Mascarenas. Kristina is a Colorado Springs native. She is, some may call the queen of Pikes Peak, having run it many times and in a dominating fashion, winning the race multiple times, as well as participating in the Ascent. She's also a multi-time bar trail mountain race champion. And has also won an entry or one of those Pikes Peak Marathons, earned her a place at the World Trail, PK Trail World Championships as a member of Team USA. At that race, she placed 25th in the world, which is amazing. And we are just super excited to get some insights into the course, into her own personal experience. So thank you so much for joining us today, Kristina.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It is my favorite trail, so I take any opportunity to talk about it that I can.
Yeah, so the Pikes Peak Marathon and the Pikes Peak Ascent, we are so excited to have you here to talk about it. I'm just going to do a quick little run of show, some of the things that we're going to talk about as we go through the course. We're going to talk about the anatomy of America's mountain. We're going to talk about some of the training demands and preparation for these races. We're going to talk about the weather and gear considerations. You go from, Manitou Springs at 6,500 feet all the way up to 14,100 feet. So lots of varying conditions there. We're going to talk about some of the history and the lore and some fun stats about Pikes Peak, because it is a long-standing marathon. Its first edition was in 1936. So we're going to talk a little bit about Kristina's experience, a champion's experience, a multi-time champion of the Pikes Peak Marathon. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the international racing prominence. It's been on the calendars. It's been a U.S. championship race. It's been on the Golden Trail World Series. So there's a lot of international stars that have raced here at Pikes Peak. And lastly, we're going to finish up with some practical advice for runners out there. So, Corinne, do you want to get us kicked off with kind of the anatomy of America's mountain, walking through some of the pieces of Bar Trail?
Yeah, I think just anecdotally, so our own personal experience. Russ, how many times have you run and which distances have
I've
you run
both the Ascent and the Marathon. 2016, it was my first big trail race. I ran the Ascent. And then I followed it up in 2017 with the Marathon. So, and then, every single year we have gone down for training runs on Bar Trail. It's continued to be a measuring stick for fitness and all sorts of fun things.
Yeah. And I have actually not raced the race. I have run
What?
many times. I know I haven't raced it. It'll happen.
Come on down. The price is
I
right.
know. I love training down there. It's an amazing training ground. And I have actually done the full marathon in a training run. Also have done repeats from the top down a few miles and back up, like while training for CCC and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm coming around to it. It's so hard. I think but my
What stops you? Yeah, I need to know.
same as you. We'll get into this, Kristina, but the uphill is what stops me because I love running
Yeah.
downhill and I wish there was just a descent, but there's not. My husband has run it 3 times. He kept wanting to try to lower his time. And funny story, and we're going to get into this with Kristina, but you passed him on the descent one of the years that he ran, I think his fastest time. And he's like, God, it was just insane. She just floated right past me. And so we're going to talk about your downhill prowess. But the reason I haven't is because of the climbing. And I just don't love it as I sit here about to go to a race with 25,000 feet of climbing. So.
Well,
Yeah. This is just
So,
one hill.
but Kristina, so I am really curious. I mean, when was the first time you heard about the Pikes Peak Marathon and Ascent? I mean, you grew up in Colorado Springs. When was the first time you heard about it? And then when was the first time that you were actually interested in maybe running that?
Yeah. So, I mean, my grandparents ran it when we were younger, but it never really sunk in that how epic it was. I was just like, oh, they're fitness people. Like we go hiking before we're allowed to get super salads. Like that's kind of like how I viewed fitness.
Whoa.
So it was just a gateway to lunch. But so that's when I first heard about it. But then my brother was training for it and his best friend, Michael Martinez, in 2014, I want to say. And they were just doubting about their epic training run. They were doing like a 3-2-1 or whatever. And Jesse was like, man, I ran like a 15-minute mile. And I was like, that sucks, bro. Like that's so bad. I was like, I can crawl a 13-minute mile. Meanwhile, I'm overweight. I'm smoking a pack a day. And he's like, if you can do any 15-minute mile above tree line, he's like, I'll never tell you to stop smoking or quit drinking again, you know? And so I was like, done. So then I started training for that mile. And obviously I didn't do it. It was like a 25-minute mile or something. And I was huffing it. But I just kind of caught the bug after that. We just started running. So that was really literally hearing about the race and the training is what got me into running.
So tell the audience
That's
what
so
a
cool.
3-2-1 is. We can talk about this more in the training section, but it is a staple run for getting ready for these races.
That's true. I didn't realize I was using the Colorado local jargon there. So you just drive to the summit park and you run down 3 miles, which is tree line. And then you run up 3 miles and then you go back down 2, up 2, down 1, up 1. And so it only ends up being 12 miles, but it takes usually 2.5 hours. And it is brutal. It's slow moving, man. So, but lots of people love to do it. It's kind of just like a badge of honor. Like, oh, I did my 3-2-1 this year. It's going to be a good year. So, I don't know if it's the best training, but everyone likes to do it for sure.
You definitely get an understanding of
it's
how
great.
you're going to respond at altitude.
Very
Yeah,
true.
I think it's,
Well, and if
I
you
think
eat
it's
grit-
great
oh, good.
training. So that's going to kind of tie in. We're going to talk about all these sections. And before the end of this, everyone's going to know the local lingo and the terms of the different parts of the course. But it's also like that is some of the steepest parts of the entire race is at the top, right? So you're really getting that
Yeah.
exposure to the super steep sections.
Yeah.
Nice.
The first 3
Okay, so-
miles and the last 3 miles are 13% grade.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's perfect. Let's lay the groundwork. So the race starts in Manitou Springs and you run out of town up a paved road essentially, and it is uphill, but that's kind of this section we would call the road to Ruxton Road. So I don't know, is there anything? It's only maybe a mile and a half.
1.1 miles.
It's just over a mile
to the where it turns to
Yeah.
dirt.
Okay. So 1.1 miles on road, but you're definitely going uphill, especially right at the very top before you get onto the trail. There's a pretty steep, isn't there a segment on that too?
It should be. It should be like the worst road in town is what it should be called because it's so steep. It's like, why are you like this? We just started.
Like a 30% grade for 100 yards or 100
Seriously.
meters.
It should be called Who's
Yeah.
Ruining Their Race?
Yeah, that's exactly. You should go name that right now. Okay, so then
There
we
we
get
go.
into, you get on the trail and it is important because it does become single track, after that point that you, I guess, would want to establish where you want to be in the field during that first mile or so. And so then we get into the section called the W's. So I don't know, Kristina, how would you describe the W's?
Oh, man. Relenting switchbacks. Like some of them are longer than others, but like I said, it's a 13% grade and you're just running switchbacks straight up. And it's beautiful. You know exactly what to expect. You just kind of lock in and go. There are spots that are wide enough to pass. I think the only part that you can't pass is that first quarter mile. So I don't know that you need to freak out right away, but just be smart and pick lines that like you can take smaller steps. Like there are big steps. If you go to the right, you can like take a smaller step. So it's mildly technical, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, that's a great description.
Yeah.
I know that, Matt Carpenter has a great website, skyrunner.com, and it's got fantastic descriptions of basically every step of the course all the way up. And I don't know when he wrote these, probably in the 90s, my guess, but a lot of it hasn't changed. And, there is, like you're saying, there's a couple spots where there's multiple lines, but I do think that there's like kind of like a best line. So I think passing a lot in the W's is just you're just wasting a lot of effort, but and there's plenty of opportunity to pass later if you if you're feeling really good. So, it's
Yeah.
definitely a spot to be patient. But as we're describing these races or these sections of the race, you'll realize we're probably not talking a whole lot about mile markers, because I don't know that any single mile really matters when it starts or when it ends. It's these milestones that everyone talks about. And you talked about the Colorado vernacular, right? Like Hydro Street. Everyone knows when you pass that at the beginning. The W's. We're going to talk about, No Name Creek and Bob's Road and Bar Camp. And yeah, there's a mile marker associated with each of these, but they're really these milestones as you go up the mountain that you can kind of gauge how you're doing as you go up.
Yeah, definitely. And that's all I use is the mile markers. That's when I fuel. That's when I do all sorts of stuff. Like I couldn't even tell you what mile Bob's Road is at because it's just like it's its own
Yeah.
marker.
Yeah, at this spot, you're gonna do XYZ, right? Yeah, breaking it
Yeah.
down into these sections. I know we'll talk about weather later, but the W's can get very, very hot later, like coming down, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even so, I don't know about like probably not early, but I just feel like it can kind of become an oven in there, and like on the descent, it can be kind of challenging. So yeah, so not super technical, but again, here we're talking about basically one giant uphill and one giant downhill. So you're like you said, what 13-15% grade kind of situation for those all through the W's, and the front of the pack and the front of both the men's and the women's field are going to be running all of that. I mean, if you're Kristina, you probably run every step. Every step? We'll talk about
Until the
that.
golden stairs. Yeah, yeah. Until the golden stairs, I think it's all runnable if you're fit enough.
Okay, okay. But just probably knowing, if this is like knowing what your overall time goal kind of or estimate is going to be, probably give you an idea of like where to sit in that pack during the race at the lower parts. Like there are definitely individuals who are going to be hiking the W's that are just, trying to get a finish out here. And so, yeah, just kind of knowing that it's steep from the get-go and just settling into that kind of all-day effort, whether that's a jog or like a strong hike.
Yeah, just whatever feels like marathon effort is what I like to tell people. Like, don't go out harder than that because, I mean, you might save seconds or even like a minute in the W, but it can be an hour above tree line that you're sacrificing if you just go too hot too early. So if you just like keep that math in mind, like don't pass over that boulder you have to jump over and climb over and blow your quads up. Like just be patient. But I will say it is maybe the most technical spot on the
Mhm.
trail, the last 3 and the first 3 miles. So on the way down, if you're doing the marathon, you got to pick your feet up. And those switchbacks are, I mean, they're like sharp. So you just got to plant your
Mhm.
foot and go. So I guess
Yeah.
non-technical for the up, little technical for the down.
Yeah.
That's a great way to
Yeah. There's
categorize it,
definitely some
because you
big
said
boulder sections.
13% in the first 3 miles, 13% in the last 3 miles. The overall course is an average of 11%. So that means that middle section, that's really like an opportunity. Like spend your energy getting to that spot so you can do something there.
Yeah, it rolls pretty well. There are actually like 3 or 4 downhills where you can get a pretty good pace on the way to bar camp. The rest of it is uphill. There's probably no more downhills after bar camp, but there are a
Mhm.
few and it's just rollers. Like you can really carry some speed through there and make up a lot of time.
That's a great point. I'm just going to go through some of the names of the markers as we go up. So, and some of the statistics. So,
Helpful. Yeah.
13.3 miles up, and then 26.2 is the return trip. As you finish, you don't go all the way back to the start line. You finish right, close to where the Ruxton Road circle is. So it's a little bit further on the uphill than the downhill for the overall stats of the marathon. The ascent is obviously just the uphill portion. So we talked about Ruxton Road, and we talked about going by Hydro Street. Hydro Street is where the little parking lot is for Bar Trail. That's still on the road. You go up, you go through the W's, you go next to No Name Creek. That's about mile 4.5 there. We talked about Bob's Road being another little key spot. There's usually an aid station at Bob's Road, from what I recall. And then you get to
Yes.
bar camp. We're still in tree line. Like you mentioned, some of those rollers come up to bar camp. Bar camp is at mile 7.6. And a lot of people think of it as like basically the halfway point for the ascent. And so once you go above bar camp, then you've got bottomless pit and A-frame. And then you start going to the miles to go, 3 to go. 2 to go, 1 to go. And there are these big metal post signs at each one of these little milestones. So you can you really pretty much know where you are on the mountain at almost all times. Kristina, do you use those markers as anything? Like, obviously, you know the mountain so well now. I'm sure it's just like, okay, here I am. Are you gauging how you're feeling as you go through some of those spots in the upper half of the mountain?
No, so I really try to not even start racing until no name that you had talked about. I just keep it super casual until there and then deliberately start picking it up. And then once you get above tree line, I use tree line
Okay.
more as a marker. So it's just like, yeah, just turn on the grit, like deploy any mental games that you have. So like sometimes I'll do times tables in my head or like, I don't know, I'll just like sing a song in my head or something like that. And if you're dying, I try to run one of the switchbacks and then walk a switchback or like power hike. So just be super deliberate with what you're doing. I always like run the right and walk the lefts because the lefts are a little bit shorter. So that way you're not really power hiking for too long. So I don't know that I use any of the markers other than, yeah, no name and tree line probably. And then the summit that I check the watch for the first time and I'm like, all right, let's boogie. Time to fly.
Nice. And so tree line is pretty close
Okay.
to A-frame, right? Or is it a little bit further?
It's basically, yeah, it is. So you'll pass the physical A-frame and then you go one more switchback and then there'll be the A-frame aid station and the sign is actually
Gotcha.
there. And so then there's one more switchback and then it's the 3 to go. So it's like really confusing with which one you're at, which is why I don't like to do splits up there. Cause I'm like, is it when I see the A frame? Is it at this one? So
Mhm.
I just,
And
tree
just
line, I'm
so
above tree line. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, and just so listeners, know what we're talking about, A-frame, there literally is a physical building that is an A-frame building that's just down off the side of the trail. I think can you, like I mean, it has an indoor I don't know if people, like, take shelter or sleep in there or it's above bar camp, but it is a physical building with, like, a little kind of, creek next to it and kind of just an outlook, an overlook that's, like, really pretty that's kind of just this yeah, it's just this staple spot on the course.
Yeah. People actually, like rent out, like you can, rent it basically and camp there as like an
Oh, you
alternative to bar
can?
camp
I didn't
or
realize
people
that.
who
Okay.
need to. Yeah. 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 So it's like a reservation. That's the
Okay.
word. So yeah. Same thing as
You
bar
can
camp. So you
reserve
can
A-frame? Wow. I didn't know
I'm
this.
pretty sure that's how it works. I don't think it's first come,
That's
first
cool.
serve because that would be sketchy. Like, good luck
Yeah.
sleeping above tree line
Well,
with
and
no
then
A-frame.
obviously if there's
But
weather up there, like, and you need to take shelter, it's, a quarter mile or like, 200 yards or something off the maybe off the trail a little bit. So, yeah.
yeah, yeah, you could throw a rock and hit it.
Yeah, so just so we can describe the sections just a little bit more before we keep go on to some of the other stuff, like, above, so I would say after the W's, right, how would you describe, Christina, kind of that next section, maybe between the W's and bar camp? Because there is a little bit of more runnable in there. I mean, I'm looking at the Strava map here and it's you start to get into as opposed to 600-foot miles like 300-foot miles, a couple of those, and then it gets a little steeper as you approach bar camp. But anything you would mention about that section?
Yeah, I feel like the 300-foot marker doesn't really do it justice because it's pretty flat and there are some downs. And then there's like a few punchy uphills. So I
Hmm.
feel like, I mean, Strava always smooths it out and you just assume that it's like a constant climb. But like I
Hmm.
said, there's like at least 3 significant downhills where you can kind of get cooking a little bit. And then just some punchy stuff that if you can just maintain some speed through, just like pump your arms and get through them, they're really short until then. And then there are some more rocky spots that are hard to navigate right before bar camp. So just be emotionally ready for those. Like everybody kind of slows down there and you do have to take big steps. So
Yep.
right before there's a 7.8 sign, right where it gets kind of techy for a second.
Okay, perfect. So then you hit bar camp, which for people that follow trail and ultra running, right, it's probably famous mainly because of Zach Miller living there and being the caretaker for many, many years. And so it's like always wild that his commute to home or back to work, quote unquote work, was like going all the way up to bar camp and staying there. But it's a really cool and it's been built out over the years. I mean, they have like last time I was in there, there's like t-shirts with bar camp on
Yeah.
it. Like there's merch and you can get some food, you could get supplies. People do camp there that are doing the whole mountain that are just kind of hiking it. There's facilities. There is a big faucet kind of like natural like spring out there that if you bring a filter bottle, like you can refill your water. So yeah, it's a great like if you're gonna go do the whole like you're going to go do the whole ascent one day. Like it's a great stopping point and a great place to just kind of like revisit and again get some fresh stuff and take just a minute, but just kind of an iconic spot.
Yeah, for sure. I filter there
And
almost
then
every
it
time.
gets what's that?
Oh, I filter their water there almost every time because it's nice to not
Nice.
carry so many bottles.
Yes, for sure. Totally. And then bar camp to A-frame, like I'd love to hear how you describe it because I think that's one of the more challenging sections of this whole thing. Like the top is tough, but it is pretty steep and I would describe it as fairly technical between bar and A-frame. But how would you describe that?
Yeah, I would agree. It's just like a lot more rocks, and so it's hard to keep a rhythm. So it's easy to want to start to walk there or slow down because you're like 2 steps and then you got to take 2 big steps and then 1 step and
Mhm.
then 2 big steps. So it's just I would describe it as more disjointed. It is pretty.
Awesome.
The trees are kind of closer to the trail. It's more narrow, but it's a relentless climb from that point to the summit. Like I don't think you get a single more downhill.
And
There.
there's no release.
Well, and new for
No,
Yeah.
no, yeah.
2025, I know that they've installed a number of logs across.
Oh,
There's probably
logs.
100 that they've installed from that section up all the way to bottomless pit. Um, I'd love to hear your thoughts on
Yeah.
like how that impacts like let's talk about the uphill. How do you think that impacts the uphill? Because I still think, like you were saying, there's multiple paths. There's multiple like there's still a path to the side where you don't have to just take that huge step up in the middle of the log. But like, how do you attack that, or how have you looked at that?
Yeah, so they do also have way more logs now from No Name to Bar Camp as well. They
Okay,
put a ton in. But you have to take big steps now. Some of them are buried and they're still 6 to 8 inches out of the ground. And now they're pooling water in front of it. So then your feet
Mhm.
get wet. And I want everyone to know it is like the slipperiest surface on the face of
the
the earth.
log.
Like when they
Yeah.
are wet, there's no traction. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I would not plant my foot on that or plan on pushing off of it. So
Mm.
I actually always try to step over it. And yeah, they're probably every 10 feet for, 400 yards at a time. It's crazy. So, and they're not
Kind of
done yet. I
along
guess they're adding a few more.
Oh, man, that's crazy. I mean, I
Yeah.
know exactly what you're talking about. It's like a smoothed over log that, like, gets so slick that you would just slide right off of it. So
Yep.
on these in this same vein, kind of, there was also a number of, like, big boulders that, like, fell during some of the storms last year and kind of into the middle. Like, I've just noticed lower sections that have, like, either a big boulder that wasn't there before or even the section you go through. I don't know exactly what mile that is, where you would go, like, under the big boulder and through. That even feels
Yeah.
a little bit different now. Any thoughts on that? Like, do you think it impacts your ability to run fast on it? Down especially?
Yeah. Yeah, especially down. Up is not that big of a deal. So the boulder under the balancing rock, I feel like they moved that area so it's clear again. So that one's not so
Okay,
bad.
okay,
But that big
okay.
boulder, I did have to come to a complete stop in Bar Trail Mountain Race because there were people coming up and search and rescue is like trying to make sure we didn't collide, which I totally get. But I came to a
Yeah.
total stop. And then you
Wow,
kind of got to get
okay.
going again. But it is slower. And then there's actually a slide that's slightly below that, which I think is even harder than any of them because the rocks have come together and there's like nowhere to get like a full step. So you either have to really jump or like kind of slow down and go to the side, which it would be a big jump. I'm contemplating it, but it's not a good idea.
These are the details that you have to know when you're doing this race. This is like, do I jump that rock or that boulder or do I sidestep it? Like, it's
Yeah,
crazy. It's becoming an obstacle course race. No, but
seriously. Yeah, full commit
okay,
or
so
nothing. Don't have it.
okay, just to finish out and round out the sections here. So A-frame up to like the Cirque and then the Golden Stairs and then the summit. So that section and I think people should know that like the entire course itself is not I would say I don't think there's really any of it that is pure actual like single track. Maybe a tiny little section where it's rutted, but otherwise it's like more of a double track. It's just either rocky or like sandy or off camber. So to me, when you get above A-frame, then you're starting to get into kind of some of this exposure where you feel like you're really high altitude and it's like you can see off, into the distance and it's almost a little bit more of a sandy surface, but you're just now at, 12, 13,000 feet, and it's just this kind of continuous climbing, maybe a little bit longer switchbacks until you get to the Golden Stairs area. But how would you describe it?
Yeah, exactly. There's a ton of pea gravel right now. A lot of the washout has come down. So, I mean, it's like 3 or 4 inches deep at some point. So you're just like spinning your wheels in some kitty litter. And then there's
Mhm.
the really long switchback. So it's easy to get in your head. So on the way to the Cirque, I mean, you can see that entire switchback and you just look up and you're like, here we go. But yeah, not big steps until you get to like the golden stairs. And they call them the golden stairs. There's 16 specific like big steps that you have to take, and they're not literally stairs, they're just rock stairs. But I
Mhm.
think if you were to just drop in fresh, every step until then is runnable. You just got to keep the momentum and keep moving. And some of the rocks have come pretty narrow, so you kind of got to go sideways a little bit, but just don't be
Mhm.
afraid to put your whole body into it, I guess, at that point.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think that like, that's a great visualization for everybody all the way to the top for the ascent. And then, um, are there any portions of the trail that just feel totally different for you on the way down than they did on the way up? I mean, obviously, just going down, the rate of speed is so much different. Do you just view it as like it's a totally new trail going down?
Yeah, definitely. And you just don't see as much because you're looking at your feet the whole time. Well, I mean, there's some landmarks you run past and you're like, this is obviously bar camp. But I just stare at my feet the whole time. And it's so funny on the way down, you'll realize how many downhills there actually were on the climb. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's another uphill on this descent. There's another uphill on this descent. And so that
Mhm.
you definitely view differently. Like the last uphill is to Lightning Point, which is just these big rocks that everyone likes to camp out and watch people just die on because you've been bombing down for I think 10 miles at that point, and
Yeah.
then it's pretty steep, just this punchy hill, but it is definitely a soul crusher. And then yeah, all the rocks that didn't seem very technical on the way up are now like problematic because you're cramping, and it just yeah, it's just the switchbacks are tighter too. Everything just feels more condensed. It's like it took something that was like all day and you just smashed it this small, and you've just got to react so quickly to everything that's coming at you. So I just view it as totally different. Yeah, that's a good
That's
way to put
yeah,
it.
those are really good descriptions. It is like 2 different races. I think when I was researching the Pikes Peak Marathon a long time ago, I saw an article somewhere that has said that it was the second hardest marathon in the world after the
Oh, dang.
Antarctic Marathon.
I would believe it.
So,
I mean, the altitude messes people up, and I
yeah,
feel like people come in and they don't have proper respect for it or adaptations for it, and it's just hard.
yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Well, that's a great description of just the different sections of this, and we're talking about like, you know, Pointed Rock, Lightning Rock, if you wanna, get some more education on kind of why those are called. Those are again just these landmarks, and I think that was a Matt Carpenter thing. It came from his write ups of just these landmarks that you want to look out for. Okay, let's talk just a little bit about. Well, before I go into the training demands, one question on when you're actually racing this race, w- and maybe they tell you this in the pre race meeting or whatever, but from your perspective, Kristina, what's the etiquette if you're going to pass somebody going uphill and if you're going to pass on the downhill? Because this is an out and back, and there's a lot of people passing and crossing over one another. So what is what is the correct thing to do there?
Yeah, so they do make a big announcement. Downhill has the right of way because it's the front of the pack. And honestly, everyone is super good about moving. There are very few people that won't let you pass, especially on the uphill. There's plenty of time and it's pretty easy to sneak past people. And then on the downhill, people do a really good job of yelling, runner up, runner back. And most
Mhm.
people move. I've not really had any problems
Good.
passing.
Cool.
So, and then they'll cheer for you too. So it's almost nice that it's an out and back because you have this constant hype. You're cheering for each other. Like there's good vibes. It's great.
What if you're passing somebody else in front of you on the downhill, because you've probably done that a lot? Like, what do you just say? Run her back and just kind of pop around?
Yeah, I just come up on them. I'm like, morning, looking good. Try to tell them something, just let them know I'm here. And then I try to
Mhm.
find a really good spot to pass. And usually, I mean, there's not an issue. Like, I'll tell people, I'm like, hey, on this turn, I'm going to cut it. Like, can I pass? And I just try to
Mhm.
communicate. And I've had pretty good luck with everybody.
Awesome. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Yeah, Russ, you wanna
yeah,
talk
I mean,
about
we've talked
demands,
a little bit
training
about the downhill.
prep?
I think we have to mention that, Kristina is basically the best downhiller at Pikes Peak Marathon ever. She has the two fastest times for the downhills on Pikes Peak, the only woman to ever break an hour and 30 minutes downhill. Obviously you've got like a very specific ability for this. And you've mentioned that, and I've heard you say this on other podcasts, that you just find it really fun. Like, do you think that's the secret, or what else is it that makes you so good at the downhill?
It's hard to say. I think it being fun is a big part of it because when it's fun, you want to do it more and you push harder. But also as a gymnast for a long time, so I think I'm used to rebounding and reacting to the ground, and going slow feels harder for me. Like you have to take more steps, and I just feel like it makes more sense to just take a straight line and just send it. So probably mentality, gymnastics background, and being an impatient person makes me go a little faster.
Yeah, being impatient, love it, love it. Just
Yeah.
want to
Oh,
get
you gotta
down
get to
there. I
the
just want to
car. Yeah,
Were,
let's
are,
go.
were you also a dancer or just a gymnast?
Just a gymnast. I did gymnastics from like 8 to 15, and then I had an injury
Okay.
that I had to quit. So it was like
Okay.
my
But
whole
yeah, that's a
childhood.
great point of rebounding off the ground. Cause I mean, I think, yeah, when it is technical and rocky like this, it's just all about like not letting your foot be in one place for very long and just kind of, but I describe it like as dancing down the mountain. Like I think you have to have that coordination and just having seen you run down it, it's like it's just it's like an art form. It's a beautiful thing. It's super like, but it is very much a skill set. And like in this race, I think it's a huge advantage if you can do that. And then like seeing ahead of you too, like how far in front of you are you kind of looking, and are you picking like that line, or do you now at this point just know the mountain so well that you kind of know where you're going to go?
So I feel like I know it well enough to know when big switchbacks are, but I just kind of take whatever line I get. Because like there's an ideal line you want, but if people are coming up and you're going down, you just kind of have to shoot for a straight shot. So I just
Yeah.
try not to step on anything that looks like it's going to move and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
I look maybe like 10 feet in front of me periodically, but I stare almost directly at the ground most of the time.
Okay.
So maybe
Got
not
it.
the
It
best
is
beta.
it is
I don't know
great
if I would do
advice
that if I was other people.
to not do your sightseeing on the way down, do your sightseeing on the way up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, so training wise and preparation wise, like I mean, I would imagine, your advice would be just a lot of eccentric loading, getting your quads ready for the demand. But is there anything else that you feel like is kind of important to in people's prep? Do you think that maintaining like a level of speed is important, or should people just get out there and try to smash a lot of vert?
Yeah, I think speed is super important in this race because there are so many runnable sections between No Name and Bar Camp again. And then that downhill, there are so many spots where you can just completely open it up. And
Mhm.
I think having speed there will matter. And then once you're tired, if you have some pocket speed, you can maintain such a better pace than if you didn't maintain that top end. And I would also, I think David Roach would not agree, but I think you should do some plyo for this race because there are big enough like blocks that you want to jump off of and react to and stuff. And so I think a little bit of plyo is good. I'm not saying like jump off the top of something, but like a little bit of ground reaction time and just body awareness will go a long way here.
Okay,
I think that's
that's
really
great.
smart. For the ascent, a lot of people, obviously at the bottom of bar trail, there's a sign that says, "Hey, be very prepared. This hike to the top could take you 8 hours." Well, the cutoff for the ascent is 6 hours and 30 minutes. So even if you're hiking it very hard to make it to the peak to hit the various cutoffs and some of those things. Uh, you know, a lot of people are going to be hiking this. There are not poles allowed at this race, but I view it as very much in line with any sort of mountain ultra trail race where you're going to be out there a significant amount of time, and you've got to do all the things that you've got to do to fuel yourself and do those sorts of things. But it is unique in that like you take all of the uphill first and all of the downhill second. And I know for me personally, transitioning at the top felt so awkward. It was just like I could not go fast for at least 5 minutes. Like there was no chance I was going to fall flat on my face if I did that. So I mean, what do you do when you're trying to turn around and then move quickly? Like how fast do things turn around for you?
So I just take that time to fuel a little bit. So I usually grab a bottle or fill my bottle there, and it's pretty technical. I mean, you can't fly even if you wanted to. So I take that
Mhm.
second to take my gel, to get my water, to like situate myself. So that way emotionally I'm not panicking when I'm going slow. And then once you get through that really rocky section, like maybe a quarter mile, then it opens up and then you can just bogey.
I
So, I mean, I just
love
take that
that.
spot pretty easy too, and just as long as you're emotionally ready for it, it doesn't have to, like, derail your plan. And because I
Mhm.
think once you, like, lose faith, then you're, like, start panicking and you do weird things, but you're like, "This is the plan. I'm gonna fuel here. It's
Mhm.
alright," and then just go. And then it's not worth rolling your ankle there either because you have a long day ahead of you.
Yeah.
So, I don't plan on boogieing there. Just enjoy it for a second and then open it up. That's my thought, at least.
I love this concept of being emotionally ready for stuff. Like, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
no, I think it's great because it's so true. And so like coming into this, like being emotionally ready to be basically climbing for, hours and hours, like being emotionally ready to have a technical section at the top. Like it's really great advice. How about any weather gear conditions? Yes, we're at 14,000 feet. Do you ever, I mean, are you just kind of looking at the weather forecast the couple days before and then planning accordingly? Would you ever bring like a jacket or a pair of gloves, for top sections? Because we have had snow and now the race being in September, usually that's all.
Yeah, so they actually have mandatory gear, so you have to bring a waterproof jacket with a hood. So I'll for sure have that on me, and then I usually bring a bottle. But if it's really cold, I'll also bring gloves because if my hands are cold, I'm cold. So that's just like a personal me thing. But I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people psych themselves out when they see the weather. They're like, "Oh, it's only 38 degrees up there." But if you're running and it's a short time, like it's not as bad as it seems. So, I mean, I wouldn't bring like a Cotopaxi, like winter jacket or anything. Just bring what you would normally train in if it's cold out. Yeah, as far as other gear, I don't know what else I'd bring.
Like
I
shoes
think the
wise, I mean, I think if it was super wet, it could be a little slick and muddy, but it, I would say like this is not the kind of race that you probably want to put a pair of road shoes on, right? It's very much like trail shoe worthy.
Yeah, I think if you're just doing the ascent, honestly, you could wear any pair of road shoes that you want because
Mm,
everything's pretty level. And then by the time it's rocky, you're up pretty high, so you're moving slow anyways. Like I would
okay.
be fine in road shoes on the climb, but I would not do the marathon in road shoes. Like there
Okay.
are enough spots where there's pea gravel over rock that you really want to get as much grip as you can. And then there's a
Yeah.
lot of like maneuvering. You got to do big turns, and I prefer to have grip, but I wear just like not overly grippy stuff, but something with some tread on it.
Got
That's
it.
a great point, and I loved your comment before about, like, don't step on something that you think is gonna be slippery. Don't step on something that you think is gonna move.
Yeah, yeah. If it's gonna roll, it's gonna roll. But I mean, that deteriorated granite is usually pretty stable. But it is just that loose stuff over the long slates of rock, kind of where you can get into trouble
Yep.
or not picking your foot up enough. I've gotten stitches a few times, so it happens to the best of us.
Yeah. I'll never forget. Well, I guess it was in the marathon, Ally Mack wearing her big old like protective like knee pads and elbow like skater so that I can just go and not worry about if I fall cuz whatever.
Yeah, I know. I kind of like when it's cold because then you have gloves on. It feels safe.
Yeah, you have
Maybe
protection on your
pad you a
hands,
little
right?
bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, totally. All right. So we want to talk about your own personal experience. Just a few minutes on that. Before we get to that, just a couple of cool things about the history of the race. So this race, and we had David Roach on the podcast after Leadville, and we asked him at the end of it if he thought that the Pikes Peak Marathon record was breakable, and he said not by this generation. And so, of course, that race and that record, Matt Carpenter, 1993. 3:16:39 is absolutely insane.
Oh,
Not
insane.
1993. It's before that because the 93 one is
Yep.
mods, right? No,
Yeah.
mods is in
Yeah, yeah.
2019. Okay, so
Mhm.
on the women's side, still held by Maud Mathis and at 4:02. I think that was she broke a Kim Dobson record. What is your PR, Tina?
A lot slower than that. I think it's like 4:35. I'd have to look. It's in the 30s, 4:30 something. I think Megan Kimmel had it
Yeah.
before Maud
O
took
o
it.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. It's
because
still
Kim
I
has the
mean,
Ascent still. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, Kim has the Ascent, 2:24, in 2012, and Remy Bonnet, you know, historically or like, yeah, to everyone's surprise, not everyone's surprise, but he broke Matt's Ascent record, which was set during the marathon. But the Ascent record is now held by Remy Bonnet in 2023, who ran 2 hours flat and 20 seconds. Um, Couple other
Oh,
things that we
just
just
missed
wanted
that
to mention.
bonus.
What's that?
Oh, he just missed the bonus for breaking 2 hours. He didn't get the Solomon bonus.
Was it a Solomon bonus or was it like, is that a Pikes Peak bonus?
No, it's a Solomon bonus. They put a bounty on the breaking 2 hours. And
Oh
so
my
he was like
gosh.
that close.
Oh,
So crazy.
It's so rough.
brutal.
20
I don't
seconds
know
on
how
the
much
mountain.
that.
He's got to find 20 seconds on the mountain somewhere.
I
Yeah,
know, hate to see
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
that's crazy. And then we have a couple other cool stats in here that Russ pulled. Ryan Soderbergh, you want to mention
Yeah,
these,
I'll
Russ?
just mention Ryan, but I wanted to mention the two. You know, you have to run. They take a split for every marathon. The Pikes Peak Marathon website has a great searchable results page, and you can actually search it and sort it by descent. And so, obviously, I mentioned Kristina. You have the two fastest descents on the women's side. The fastest male descent is actually Dakota Jones, ran a 1:13. Downhill in his 2018 win. Matt's downhill the year that he broke the record was like 1:15. So just only less than 2 minutes faster for the descent. And then obviously Matt ran the 2:01 that year for his Ascent for the overall record. But one of the stats that I
And
love, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and if this is true, because Russ put this in here, is that Kristina, you're the only woman to break an hour 30 down.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Woohoo!
that's
So
true.
you've got this record. So hence why, like, forget, Mod 402. We got the descent record on the women's side held by Kristina Mascarenas in
If
sub
Kim and I could
130.
team up, we would shatter it.
Maybe that's the next thing is another weekend where it's
Right.
a team. Like somebody
Oh
does the
man,
ascent,
if we
somebody
could
does it.
relay,
Oh, that'd be
pitch
fun.
the idea,
That
let's go. The carnage would be high to try to
that
send that
would
on fresh legs. Woo.
that would be really fun. There might be some ambulance trips in that, but yeah.
Yeah, love to see
Um,
that waiver.
yeah, it could be amazing. Okay. All right, back to the
Yeah, so back
stats,
to the
Russ.
stats. So one other guy that I wanted to mention, Ryan Soderbergh, has 62 finishes in the Pikes Peak Ascent and Marathon combined. He doubles almost every year. I think he has 30 ascents and 32 marathons, and he's no slouch. He's run a 2:56 ascent. So, giving Ryan a big shout out. But he's not the king of Pikes Peak. The king of Pikes Peak is Matt Carpenter. He's dedicated a bunch of his running career to running on the mountain, has some of the best resources, has a book you can purchase, all sorts of things about Pikes Peak. If you are a nerd about this race, you want to dig into what he has to say about the mountain. And then, Kim Dobson, you mentioned, I would say the queen of the uphill on Pikes Peak there. 8 wins over 12 starts. I don't think she loves the marathon because she's done mostly the ascent, but 8 wins is massive there. And then Ricardo Mejia, a chief rival of Matt Carpenter's in the 90s, has 4 of the top 10 fastest times ever at the Pikes Peak Marathon and won 5 times in 6 marathons. So put some respect on his name as well for the history and lore of Pikes Peak.
That's
Okay,
so
I'm adding
cool.
one.
And
Go ahead,
go ahead.
Christina.
Well, I was going to say, I got a new training partner and I run with in the morning, and I didn't know who he was. And he was just like super humble about stuff. And then I was running with Dan Vega and he goes, Ryan Hafer, he's the youngest person to ever win the Pikes Peak Ascent. I was like, what? So there's another like legend out there that just like slums it and runs with me sometimes. So I'm like, if you want to run faster, it won't hurt my feelings. But he always hangs out. So running
How
with
old is he, or
legends.
how young was he when he won?
I think he was 16.
Whoa. And
16
what's
or
his name?
17. Yeah. Ryan Hafer.
I've heard that
Okay.
name. That's an awesome stat.
Yeah.
Does he
Yeah,
just
it's
run the
super
Ascent,
cool.
or is he going to do the marathon?
I don't know if he's ever done the marathon. He
Mm.
had the course record for Bar Trail Mountain Race for a while until Joe Gray took it back. But I know he's done the Ascent. I don't think he's done the marathon. I'll try to
Yeah.
bully him into it one day.
I mean, talking about history, right? Like Killian Jornet's run this race, Sage Canada's run this race. Obviously, we talked about Remy and the International and Mod. But the one person that I will always want to see run this race that probably never will is Jim Walmsley. So, Jim, if you're
Yeah.
listening to this, please come run the Pikes Peak Marathon. I just want to see it, but
Yeah.
maybe he never will. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll put you up. I'll pay you. It'll be fine.
Appearance fees are going to happen at the
Yeah.
Pikes Peak
You
Marathon.
like pizza? I got lots of pizza. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, one more thing on the history before we talk about your own experience and then kind of wrap up here. I have not run it, but I have to show this picture because somebody in my family has run this marathon. This is my uncle.
That's
Rick
amazing.
Trujillo.
Yeah, yeah. So one year they were doing like this, 30-year anniversary. Oh, this was for the 61st running. And yeah, so my uncle, my dad's older brother, was a 5-time winner of the race from 73 to 77. And at that time, I think he had the record. I know that his fastest time is still one of the top 10 fastest times. But yeah, like historically, anybody who knows the Imogene Pass run, like he created that as a training route for the Pikes Peak Marathon because he very much dedicated a number of years to perfecting the Pikes Peak Marathon. So that's my connection and my redemption for being able to talk about the race.
Corinne 2027. Let's go.
I first met Rick as Graham and I were warming up for the 2017 Pikes Peak Marathon. He came and watched, and I got to shake his hand, and he was there at the start of that race. And I'm sure he watched Graham finish, and then I was a little bit after that, but
yeah,
very cool.
He did. I think he actually went up to Remy Benet and said, "I have actually run this race faster than you, Remy."
Good for him. Keep
I
him
don't know who
humble.
this kid is from Europe, but I've run this faster than you. It's like
It's that Colorado mining confidence.
Classic Uncle Rick fashion. Yeah. Anyways. All right, cool. So just a couple minutes and we'll let you go here on your own experience. Like, talk to us. The first thing we wanted to know is kind of what were expectations versus reality of your first time racing it? Going in, you had obviously trained a lot, but did anything, do you remember that first time and kind of just what you thought about the whole experience afterwards?
Yeah. So it's funny that you say I trained a lot because I didn't. The running was so new to me. So I didn't run growing up. So this was my first year of running. So honestly, I was just super impressed that I could go from the bottom to the top. But I assumed if a regular person could do it, I could probably do it too. So I had no expectations for time or place or anything like that. And it was an amazing year because my brother did it and our whole running crew was up there. So I just couldn't wait to get up there and just talk about the race with my friends and family. And then the drive down was so much fun because everyone was hypoxic and someone brought beer and we were just wasted off one beer because you were dehydrated and at altitude. So I was just wandering around the top of the mountain, what's going on? So it was honestly just a big party for my first time. No
So
expectations.
the first time you did it, you did the Ascent? Okay.
Yes.
Well, and then
Yeah.
talk
And
about
then the
your
next
first
year I did the
marathon, because
marathon.
your first marathon, you were on the podium.
Oh, yeah, I guess my expectations were that it was going to really suck on the climb. I was like, just get to the top, Tina. That is all you have to do. And then just fly because it was so much fun to me. So that's all I told myself the whole time. I was like, just get to the top, get to the top. And then the second I got to the top, it was just playtime for me. And so I just ran as fast as I could on the way down and it worked out pretty well. So just no expectations again because I didn't have anything to base it off of. I had training runs and stuff, but I wasn't expecting to win or place or do anything like that because it was my second year of running and I honestly didn't know if I could run that far or anything like that. So just really open mind.
And then you took a little bit of time off from it. I think you went through a bit of an injury during those following years or whatever, and then came back in 22. Is that correct?
Yeah, I shattered my ankle in 2019 and I tried to run through it and it just didn't work. And then I had to get surgery and then I rehabbed that. And then I came back to running and immediately fell at bar camp and shattered my left leg, like left ankle. And like I had to get off the mountain and then I had to rehab that. So it's just been like this ankle saga that will not go away. So those are the only times I haven't raced is when I've been like in a boot.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
super. I mean, it's super like, I don't know, it's probably really inspirational for people to hear too, going through a couple of really major, injury cycles and then kind of coming back and like you can't stay away from I think you in our text string described it as like the beautiful beast of a mountain, which I really love that. You're like, I can't get off that. I love that beautiful beast of a mountain. So yeah, just coming back from injury and just getting back out there on it. Is there anything you've learned that you've tweaked? And I know, I mean, I think I've seen, you work super hard at improving like your climbing, which is very inspirational to me too, just to get out there and just get on the mountain and do it and practice, practice running all of these sections. But is there anything you've changed or kind of done in terms of nutrition or just the overall pacing strategy that's helped you continue to take time off of your overall time?
Yeah, so uphill treadmill has been like a game changer for me. I just do it twice a week, 30 minutes at a 15% grade, at a slightly uncomfortable pace, which I think matters because you just get used to being uncomfortable going uphill. And then lifting heavy has been, I think, a game changer for me. And then just exposure. So
Nice.
just getting it done.
Yeah.
Because I didn't race collegiately, I don't know how uncomfortable is okay to feel uncomfortable. So that's just been my goal. Just like be okay being uncomfortable. And I think that has helped a lot.
Yeah, I
Nice.
do think like college runners, they get this practice of like hurting and it's like okay. And it's in their brain. It takes a while learning to run as an adult to like that thing that's telling you to stop, it's okay to ignore that for a while. And so it's really neat
Ex
observation as somebody who kind of came into running as an adult and didn't race collegiately or things like that. I really like that. My question for you, okay, you are a three-time champion of the marathon. I love one of the rules at Pikes Peak, which is anytime you win either the Ascent or the marathon, you are granted lifetime entry into either one of the races. It's like the Masters. You win and you are always welcome back. So talk a little bit about like the organization, like, they obviously welcome you back with open arms anytime you're ready to run one of the races. Like talk about that and having it be like, this race is kind of the central piece of Colorado Springs trail racing in the summer.
Yeah, I'm so lucky to be able to hop into it last minute as a previous winner. I know it sells out every year and you have to kind of decide early if it's something that fits in your schedule or if you're healthy. So I am super grateful for it. And everyone on the board is just such a fan of the board of the Pikes Peak Marathon is just such a fan of running. They just like treat you like a local legend. It's so cool. They're like, anytime you want, just email me. I feel like local famous a little bit. But I did gymnastics way back in the day, and Kathy, who is the person who will give me my bib when I sign up, she was actually a gymnastics coach forever. So she's known me since I was like 8.
Oh,
And so it's just kind of cool just to continue the competitiveness like all the way through adulthood. And so it's just like a local connection there. It just kind of feels like you're talking to your friends. You're like, hey, you're going to let me in your cool event this weekend.
well, that's amazing. And another Castle Rock Run Club tie, Jonathan Aziz is a three-time winner of the event, and I know he will be back for the
Okay.
2025 race. So we're wishing him luck as well. It sounds like maybe you're still thinking about it, but to potentially also racing maybe the marathon again coming up in a couple of weeks. So we definitely wish you and Jonathan great luck. We love it when the local legends are the king of the mountain at Pikes Peak.
Yeah, Jonathan will be winning it for hopefully for the first time as a dad, so it'll be extra special for him. I know Tara
That's
and the
right.
baby will be at the
Yes.
base, so it'll be awesome. I at least want to see that finish. It'll be awesome to see his family
Nice.
greet him at the finish line.
Nice.
And I'm sorry that my screen got dark. I'm outside.
It's okay. It's okay. This is what's happening. No,
Yeah.
this is great. I think we're pretty much wrapped up. Is there anything that you would, I guess, just tell people coming out like any advice around just being able to enjoy the experience, versus like suffering through it, or any final kind of words of wisdom as somebody who has succeeded at the race so much?
Yeah, I would just say be deliberate with all of your motions. So if it gets too hard to walk it or run, walk. It's okay, but walk with purpose. So don't slow down, don't look around, like really be deliberate about keeping quick steps and stay on top of your hydration, not just water, maybe consider some electrolytes because when you're at altitude it's going to matter so much. So maybe
Mhm,
fuel slightly earlier than you would if you were just doing a flat race or a race that's not at altitude. And
mhm.
just know that when it hurts and you want to give up, literally everybody feels that way. You're not alone. It's not because you're not fit. It's supposed to hurt this bad and you're doing fine and just keep moving.
Oh man, I think that is such a great place to end it and such a great piece of advice. From the front of the field to the back, everyone is feeling like they hurt going up that thing. And I can agree with that for both of my experiences. Christina, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time and just your willingness to share your experiences on the mountain. And we hope that everyone that is going out to tackle the challenge has a great day. The organization wants you to have a finish and a great day, and they set it up that way. So, take that and give it your best shot on Pikes Peak.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about this race is that you can go spectate at the bottom, and a quarter mile out, they'll announce your name. So and so has passed. What is it? It's like the
What?
not the no the like they've passed it's like a wedding venue. It's like a castle.
Oh,
Oh,
Miramont Castle?
Yeah, yeah, the castle. Like, so they'll be like, so and so has passed the castle, and they're on their way in, and then they announce like every single person that crosses the finish line by name. Welcome so and so back into town kind of thing. And I love the vibe and just the whole atmosphere. So yeah, if you're not going to go race, maybe go cheer it on and check it out. But yeah, thank you so much, Christina, and congratulations on all your success there. And can't wait to see you line up again and keep setting another standard for both the climbing and the descending, especially on this race.
Try to get better at the climbing for sure. Are you racing this year, Russell?
I am not racing this year. I will
Oh,
be
all
back on the
right.
mountain another time for sure.
Yeah,
All right. We'll see you
awesome.
guys soon.
Thank you so much.